A big welcome back to Make Movement Matter. It's slightly later than I intended in 2026, but it's been a very exciting time, a very time-consuming time for me at the start of January, because I'm really excited to share, and many of you will already know, that my book Move Well for Life was published on the 1st of January. And you'll be hearing a little bit more about that coming shortly in the series. It was a really exciting time, and it was shared in places like The Telegraph and Red Magazine, amongst many others, which was fantastic. But I'm genuinely excited to be back for Make Movement Matter, because it's such a passion project of mine. And I just love having the conversations because I'm so curious about people. I love learning about their lived experience and learning from their knowledge and their wisdom. And I'm so grateful for getting to host these conversations. If you're new here, by the way, then a huge warm welcome for listening for the first time, because it's a really special thing to have a new listener, and I really hope you enjoy. There's a huge back catalogue. We are now in season 7, if we work in seasons. We are over 70 episodes in, and there's a wealth of really fascinating conversations in the back catalogue. So sift through and find one that interests you and pick them up and take them out for a walk with you, or listen in the car, or wherever you like to consume your podcasts, or while you're moving around the kitchen. And I think it's worth celebrating that I'm in the 3rd year, because not every podcast makes it this far. So I am pleased that I have managed to be consistent with it. But I wanted to come on here to say that there are going to be some small changes, because to be consistent, I have to be honest with you, is quite hard when it's an episode with a guest every single week. And that's because there's so much more behind the scenes than obviously just the recording itself. I always like to have a little meeting with guests beforehand at some point to get to know them, to listen to their story, to make sure that they are relaxed when I speak to them, so that we get the best conversation possible for you. That also is time consuming, but also there's all the sort of admin around it, making the show notes and so on. So from now on, to make sure that I can keep consistent, which is a really key part of what I encourage people to do with movement, I'm going to be changing the rhythm a little and having guest conversations every other week. Then on the in-between weeks, you're going to get me. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about the things that matter most to me, mainly obviously in the movement space, but also about how that fits into life and what I'm experiencing from clients and so on, to hopefully inspire you and share more of my ideas and help you move differently. And that's my key aim. During that, I thought it made much more sense and was more true and aligned with my brand that I also got you moving. It feels wrong that if you are sat listening to this, that I haven't got you moving. Now, I don't feel I can break up a conversation with a guest to say, stop, let's move. But I can in these mini episodes. I also want to make them positive and empowering. So I'm going to leave you at the end of every mini episode with a sort of either a reflective question to make you think about the way you move in your own life, something to inspire you or to make you feel and think differently about movement in your life. I'm going to let that format evolve and move naturally. So it may form different shapes, and that's what I want. I want it to iterate and enjoy the process. And obviously variety is key. So that's why I'm creating this more varied routine of episodes. You may also get some throwback episodes where it's sort of a bite-sized version, because there are some fantastic sections of previous podcasts that I think are really worth listening to again. So I think it makes sense at this moment in time that we do a movement. So wherever you are, whether that is sitting in an office, at home, out walking, perhaps not when you're driving, but think about definitely doing this when you get out the car, I'd like you to ignore the people around you. Don't worry about what they think, but instead put the priority on how your hips feel, because today we're going to do some hip circles. You might be able to see this on video. I am hooked in to my microphone and my earphones, so it's a little bit different for me to do this, but I'm going to do it as best as I can, and I'm going to cue you to do it. So stand up, take your feet wider than hip width. And then I want you to hinge through your hips. So imagine that the creases in the front of your hips, if you press them with your fingers, they're going to swallow up your fingers because you're bending down and taking your rear back. When you do this, I want you to try to avoid bending your legs. They can be softly straight. They don't have to be fully straight because I don't want you to hyperextend. But I do want this to all come through the hips. And then when you're there, I want you to put your hands on the sides of your hips and circle that hip around. So it's coming in a wide circle. Your hands will be circling as you go. And you'll take your pelvis forward to the side, to the back, and to the side. As you do so, to get the most out of this, I want your upper body to oppose your hips. So as they go to one side, your upper body goes to the other. As your pelvis goes forward, you lean back, and so on. So that you make as wide a circle as you possibly can with those hips. And don't forget to switch directions, round and round. And I want you to just really think about how this feels. Adjust your feet if you want. Take your feet a bit wider, turn your feet out a little bit, do whatever you want to just make sure that you're getting the most out of this movement. How does it feel? Because it feels good to me, because I've been standing for quite a long time now. Round and round. And then back to the center. And stand back with your feet hip width if you want to, or stand whichever way you want. I hope you enjoyed that. Hip circles are a lovely thing to do to really intentionally move the hips so that you are really opening out all the muscles around the hips. And often we don't move with our legs in that wider position, so it feels fantastic. Obviously now it makes sense for me to mention my course, Happier Hips in 5 Steps. Shameless plug. It's £33 to help you think about how your hips are moving at the moment and what they might need, and how you can then apply that into the way you move in daily life for life. It's a great starter. And so if your hips just said, yes, please, then you can grab it at reclaimmovement.co.uk. So next week's conversation is going to be an interesting one, because I'm actually swapping the host seat with Hilary Saltzman, who is a friend, I would say a colleague, someone I've worked with, and she's going to be questioning me about what I will leave until then. She is a fantastic host, and it will be a fantastic conversation. So I really hope you can tune back in then. Finally, today's takeaway is that I want you to understand that change is truly always possible. I see it every day. But it only starts when you start to advocate for yourself. And that is thinking both about how you want to move today as well as your future self. The way we start that is by one small choice. And that honestly is enough to begin, because it grows and grows. So, if you would like to make change, you can start today. Until next week, happy moving. And I hope your hips were happier for that movement. See you then.